really think so.
Them team ropers don't mind going out there and choking one down though.
Well, that I don't know. I don't see.
Have time, one or the other.
Yeah, see that's another point. Team roping to me, this is kind of on the humane issues. To me, team roping is the most cruel event in rodeo. It is. You think about it. Now, calf roping, I don't think it's that cruel at all. Especially the way they rope calves these days. They don't tip them over backwards. They want to lay them down on their side, but everybody thinks because it's a small calf and the visual image, they think that's real cruel. And they've even renamed it tie-down roping. But team roping, now you talk about, now let's look at that. You're going about 20 miles an hour, you rope one, you dally up, you turn off and you go, and somebody's stopped, heels him and dallies on, and that big old jerk, that to me is very hard on cattle.
Calf's a lot more flexible.
Calf is a little more flexible, and even the bulldog and the the steer, they at least they don't have anything going on. I'm not criticizing team roping. I'm just saying if we want to talk about hardest on animals, team roping is. But I never have heard anybody say that team roping is hard on cattle. It's always calves that they're all worried about.
It looks like they're throwing them that high.
Yeah, so we've got this image thing, and that's the whole thing. And so when I see people with cattle like this, that you can walk anywhere and do anything with, we're not going to get in trouble with that kind of cattle. If we have people trained at the auction markets and the trucking companies and all the things. But if we have a bunch of high-headed wild cattle that are dangerous and hard to handle, and you've got to be a double tough top hand to get it done, that's going to create problems for our industry. And that might be kind of hard on folks, but it's the way it is. So I like this a lot. And I'm very proud to say that I can get cattle like that. Almost like that, anyway, maybe not quite that good, but I'm proud of that. I'm also proud of the fact that if one wants to bail out there and go through the brush, I could probably get my rope down and get my rope on it. But I'm more proud, I used to be more proud of the fact of my skills as a cowboy. Now I'm more proud of my skills as a stockman. And that's a change for me. I used to really work on roping a lot. And having both is good. Yep, so anyway, any other questions or comments?
Well, a lot of people don't understand too is when you're gathering them cows and if you let them get away with something and then regroup and then do it again, they keep getting away with it. If you just keep pushing them on, especially them Brahmer cows, they're high-headed and they will clear a fence without touching the strand.
Yeah, that's right. Once they learn that they can get by you, that's very difficult. And being they don't like pressure, Brahman type cattle don't like pressure more than any other cattle I know. They don't like pressure. They don't like the pressure of a corral. They don't like, and so when they start learning how to get by pressure and get out of it, they're going to always be looking for a place to go. Very much. Yep, and sometimes they'll make a hole if they think the pressure is going to be much, which you guys all know. So
that's the one you need to sell.
Yeah.
That's why they have a sale every week.
That's right. Yeah, and that's
one more time.
That's a good point. Yep. Yeah, but if it's a real good cow and it's human caused, that's too bad too. I mean, I think a lot of these cows, if they were just, the thought I have, in the horse world there's a thing called imprinting. And imprinting is when a foal is first born, the human is supposed to be there, and they call it the early learning period, and it's like 1 to 2 hours or so after birth. Dr. Miller thinks there's a time in there where the animal, all sensory stuff, sticks with it forever. And so he recommends you do all these things, run clippers on it, stick your finger up its butt, all this kind of stuff, to get it used for the human. And the thing that I don't like about it, sorry about that, I didn't realize there's a young lady in the audience, I'm sorry. She's the only one that laughed at the joke, though. So what I don't like is with the foal is when it's born and you lay it down, when it tries to get up, you make it stay down. And when it quits trying, you take the pressure off. Well, if you ask me, that's teaching a horse to not try. That's taking all the life and the spirit out of the horse. The heart. Now, what is his mother doing? She's licking him, telling him to get his butt up. So a mountain lion can't get you. So I think we're messing with Mother Nature there. Maybe that foal has a lot of early learning from his mother. Now, if I was going to imprint one, I'd be helping it up and maybe stick my finger where it shouldn't be while I was helping it up, and then you get used to both things at one time. Sorry. But with calves, I've been thinking about this. Maybe calves are the things we need to imprint. So when you go to tag one, rather than just thinking about tagging them, when you lay down and you get him caught and you lay him down, if old mama isn't there too bad, when he starts struggling, maybe that's the one where you hold down on him a little bit. And when he quits struggling, take a little bit of the pressure off. He'll learn to get, when he quits fighting, that pressure comes off. And then you put the tag in and you work him around a little bit. Maybe when he get up, you walk him 10, 15 feet. Let him see you out of both eyes. You teach him to drive. In that first couple days, he's learned quite a bit. Now, the first time he goes through that squeeze chute, if that early learning stuff works at all, and he comes in there and that squeeze goes on him, maybe instead of going up to the top, he just will relax a little bit. He'll go to thinking about that. So maybe imprinting, as long as you're going to have a hold of him and do something, maybe you should spend a little bit of time acclimating that calf to the human. Maybe that'd be helpful. So we can do things and think about things a little differently and try to make it work for us. So I think we're just, I look at these young folks, the younger folks in the audience, and I tell my kids that they have such an opportunity because so few people are good at handling livestock anymore. And for a young person, I think they're going to have the world in their hands and be able to be a good stockman. And once we start finding out how much good stockmanship, good cattle handling can do, I think that's going to be a very, very high demand position. And so for young people, I think the world is really, really going to be great for young people in agriculture, especially animal agriculture. Yep. So I'm encouraging my kids to.
A lot of time and patience.
Yes, I
Have somebody to look up to.
the patience deal, I'm not sure. See, and that's what so everybody says you have to have patience. No, I don't think so. If you have patience, I see people with a lot of patience, and they're willing to take 4 hours to work cattle through a chute. I'm not. I'm not patient at all. But I'm smart. And I know I have to do certain things to get certain things done. So I wouldn't say, everybody says that, and it's a good thing. Patience is a good thing. My wife's always telling me I should get more patience. But what I have learned is to not do stupid things that cause me problems. I still want to get my work done. I want to get my work done faster than anybody else. And I want to be able to work more cattle and do it more effectively, better, but I'm not going to do it through patience. But I do know that if I get mad and lose my temper and go to yelling and screaming, that's going to set me way back. And so by non-patience, I'm actually creating patience. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's a whole big difference there. But I agree with what you're saying.
The thing with me, you work cows with some people that sometimes you can't get somebody that knows what they're doing. You have to hire somebody, that'll listen. But when they get out there and do something they're not supposed to, you know what I mean? Then you lose your temper.
Yeah.
You just gotta sit back, everybody have a drink and talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing that I've decided. If you have to tell somebody what to do when you're working cattle, it's not going to work. I've tried this. I used to try to tell people where to be, and you just can't see from one side of the corral to the other the exact spot you need to be in. So what I've started doing now is I don't tell anybody anything. I make a plan before we start, and if my wife is in the wrong place, I try to fill in for her without her even knowing it. If my kids are in the wrong place, which they're not, either's my wife. But if somebody's in the wrong place, if I'm a good enough stockman, I ought to be able to position myself to get them out of the wreck and be able to get things done. Maybe not as good as if they would have been in the right spot, but cover for them where they don't even know it. And then when we get a chance to work at something, we can work through that. But if you're when you start telling people what to do, when you're trying to get quite a bit done, they get confused, the cattle, and then it's really, then your wife gets mad. And that's no good. Are you married? You don't understand, but you will. my buddy that I used to work with a lot, Ron Gill from A&M, he used to always ask, has anybody ever been, husband and wives, has anybody ever been left at the cow pens? And most everybody has. And he said, well, I got the perfect solution. Everybody thinks they're going to get some big... He says, put the keys in your pocket. So, it's difficult. Working with family is very difficult, but it can be real rewarding. So, and if we just slow down, but hurry up. That's a kind of an oxymoron statement, but by slowing down, sometimes you go faster. And that's been kind of the old saying for a long time. Slower is faster when you're working with cattle. But anyway, hopefully you got some ideas and you'll go home and just mess with some cattle. Don't try to do too much, just mess with some. So, I sure appreciate the day. It's been wonderful.